Aloha! We're super excited to be starting our archery unit. So we're gonna go through the safety cues. Know that there's gonna be a test that you need to pass before you can shoot an arrow. First off, let's go ahead and take a look at the setup of everything. So over here, this cone back here, this is where you're gonna line up if you're waiting to shoot the bow. Then notice here, we have the rack, the bow rack, all set up. Then come on up. This is where you would step up. There's an arrow in this one. This is where you would shoot from. And of course, we've got the target up front. So the key thing, you definitely don't want to go up and retrieve the arrows unless you hear the signal. So there's going to be certain whistles, signals for each part. Let's take it from the top. Here we go. First step. Everyone is behind the row of cones and we're waiting in line. Then you're going to hear two whistles. Two whistles will mean get bow. Go. At that point, one person is going to step up. We're going to choose a bow rack. Come over on this side. As you can see on the left side of the rack where there's a lock, L, left side, there is left-handed if you are a left-handed person. And then all the rest are right-handed. So this is how you'll know which eye is dominant, which eye you're going to use, which bow you're going to use, the left or the right. So try this test with me right now. Okay, you're gonna make a triangle with your two hands and you're gonna find a spot on the wall, or right now I have the target right in the triangle. Okay, now I am going to close my left eye, which means my right eye is open. So if the object in the triangle does not move, that means you're dominant in that eye. So once again, you have the triangle, have an object in the center of it. We're going to close the left eye. Did the object stay in the triangle? If so, you are right eye dominant. Okay? Because obviously when you're aiming, you don't want the arrow to be moving. Now, let's try the other way. So now you're going to go ahead and close your right eye. Does the object move out of the triangle, out of the center? So right now, close my right eye, which means my left eye is open. For me, it moved. The target moved out of the triangle. That means I'm not dominant. I'm not using the left-handed bow. Do you have any questions about that? We'll talk about it. Ask me questions at a later time. So I know I'm a right eye dominant, so I'm going to use. So this is how you set it up. So you're going to make sure that the strings are facing you. Okay, that's how you know. Hold the bow parallel to the ground. Notice right here, okay, this is a guide. Okay, that's how you'll know. The guide is facing up. That's how you know. If it's facing you, guide is facing up. Now, how to knock the arrow. This is key right here so we don't damage the arrows. Notice that there are two of the same color, one different color. The one that is a different color is going to be facing up. Okay, I think of it like a shark fin. So this is how you're going to knock the arrow, N-O-C-K. You're going to, this is the index vein, is what it's called. The color that is different than the rest. And notice that there is a bead. You're going to hear that click. See right there? You're going to knock it right below the bead so that holds the arrow in place so it doesn't slide. And notice how it rests right on the guide. And at this point, we are not drawing, we're not pulling back on the strings. We're going to wait till everyone has it all set up and the knock is set up in the strings. How to draw. You want to make sure that you do not dry fire, which means you don't want to pull back if there is no arrow in there. Okay, we don't ever want to just pull back and release. That is not safe on that. So again, you're going to step up, get the bow with the two whistles, step up, knock it, get it set up, from here, you don't want to draw until you're going to hear another signal. One whistle is going to stand for fire. At that point, you can draw and release. So you're going to hear the whistle. One whistle, then you can take your time. Here is how, as you come and zoom in closer, you're going to draw. You want to set up your feet. Okay, you want to make sure that you stagger, and you want your hip. Okay, so for me, I am right eye dominant, so my left hip is pointed to the target. Okay, I don't want to be facing and going this way. So just like as if you're batting, like hitting a baseball or hitting at the plate for softball. As you can see here, the first set of knuckles right here, 3 fingers, remember like a W. So you're gonna have 1 on top of the bead and 2 below. Notice here that I'm not touching the arrow. If I do that, the arrow is gonna move around. So again, watching here, you're gonna just pull and you're gonna gently pull. You're gonna pull back so that your thumb knuckle goes to your cheek, okay, and release. Let's talk about safety so you don't hurt yourself with the string. So you wanna make sure that, so as you can see here, my forearm is right up at the string. You definitely don't wanna keep it there because when you pull back, it's gonna create a mark right there. So you do wanna slightly bend your arm when you are drawing. Now let's go ahead and do it. So I got it set up, blow the whistle. That means fire. So I got my stance, left hip facing. I'm gonna pull back, close my left eye as I'm right eye dominant. Okay? At this point, after you release the arrow, we don't run out yet for safety, right? So when you're done, you're gonna rack up the bow, put it back, okay, on the rack, and then you're gonna wait at the rack. Then I'll see, okay, is everyone done shooting their arrow? At that point, then you're gonna hear 3 whistles. 3 whistles will mean go get arrow. So at that point, here we go. Go get arrow. We're gonna all walk up. So you definitely wanna always, no one in your line waiting is watching where you're shooting the arrow so that you can find it easily. Because if you lose the arrow, your team won't be able to shoot until you find it. Okay, so I know that it did hit the target. You wanna pay attention if it goes to the right or left. So this is very important on how to retrieve the arrow. Obviously you wanna check how do you do on the scoring. Okay, so it goes the center, bullseye is 10, and it works its way with the rings, goes from there 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Some of them might not be labeled, but just follow it all the way through. Okay, so looks like I got a 4. Awesome. Check this out. This is how you remove the arrow. You want to hold the target and gently pull. You want to go in the same direction out. Okay, slow, nice and slow. Just like that. If though, let's say it's in the ground like this, you definitely don't want to just pull up on it because then it can bend the arrow, right? So again, if it's in that direction, you want to pull it in that same direction, okay, going out. Yep. Okay, nice and safe. You're going to set the arrow back where you shot from, and then go back in line, and we're going to wait for the signal. Awesome. We did it. Way to go. So we actually have a archery study guide, and some key things that we want to make sure is that these bows are not a toy, and make sure that we follow the safety rules. If we're unable to be safe, then you'll be unable to shoot the arrows. Next up, you never want to aim at anything other than the target. So you want to be aiming obviously towards it, not up or to the side, other things. So obviously this is just for shooting at the target, not a hunting bow. So if you have something baggy or loose, anything that could get caught in there, you might have to remove your hooded sweatshirt or jacket if it becomes, so it doesn't get caught in the mechanism. This is definitely a no-brainer, but you wanna not point it at a person, only at the target. Before knocking the arrow, you wanna make sure that everyone else in class, they would be set up behind the cones. Only those that are shooting with an arrow should be up, ready to go at the shooting area. So let's say that you already knocked the arrow and you set it up, and you decide that you want to change your mind and you don't want to actually release and go. So if that does happen, again, after you hear the whistle, which is one whistle for fire. So let's say I go, I draw, but I change my mind, slowly lower and make sure the arrow is down to the ground. That is called letting down. So as you can see, there are 3 colors for the fletching. The color that is different than the rest will be pointing up. I think of it like a shark fin pointing up. That way it doesn't damage it when it goes through. And you can see that it's right on top of the guide. The nock is right below the bead. So this is how you know how to set up the bow. You got the strings facing you, and then your hand is on top. And notice that the guide is facing up. These are for the right-handed. Left-handed, it's obviously flipped. Have fun with it. You got this.